My son-in-law pushed me right under the wheels of a car. I heard the engine roar, saw the headlights flash, and was already flying onto the asphalt, and he stood there laughing. I slowly got up, dusted off my clothes, and promised myself, from now on his life would be a complete nightmare. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The eggs hit the asphalt first, 18 of them, $4.99 worth, spreading yellow across the hot pavement like some abstract painting nobody asked for. My groceries followed: bread, milk, that overpriced organic coffee Ursula keeps telling me to try. All of it scattered while I rolled away from the silver Camry that missed my leg by maybe 6 inches. Ted stood there laughing. My son-in-law, 37 years old, wearing a wrinkled business suit on a Tuesday afternoon, smelling like Jim Beam had gone 12 rounds with cheap cologne and lost. His tie hung loose, eyes bloodshot, that fake smile plastered across his face like he'd just told the world's funniest joke. "Hey, Oz, perfect timing, man. Listen, I got this opportunity, real estate thing, but I need—" "Ted, I'm not—" "Just 15 grand. I'll triple it in 2 months, I swear. This guy I know—" "The answer's no. Same as last time, and the time before that." His jaw clenched. I watched his fists ball up. He stepped closer, invaded my space the way drunks do when they think proximity equals persuasion. "Come on, don't be like that. Family helps family, right?" I shifted my grocery bags. The Publix parking lot stretched around us, empty except for scattered cars baking in the Tampa heat. 3:47 on a Tuesday afternoon. I know because I always check my watch after shopping. 35 years as a court stenographer teaches you to note time, date, details. Everything matters when you're building a record. You've been drinking. So what? It's Tuesday. You gonna lecture me? I'm going home, Ted. You know Ursula's gonna be real disappointed. She thinks her old man's loaded. Tell Ursula I said hello. I turned toward my car. That's when Ted's palm connected with my chest. Hard. The shove came from nowhere and everywhere at once. My groceries launched. I stumbled backward. The Camry's bumper appeared in my peripheral vision. I rolled to the side. Pavement scraped my elbow. The car passed so close I felt the heat from the exhaust. Ted stood there, hands at his sides now, looking down at me with that same smile. "Whoa! Grandpa, you gotta watch where you're going. These cars come out of nowhere." I stood slowly, brushed asphalt dust from my khakis. My hands wanted to shake, but I kept them steady, methodical. One knee, then the other. Ted's BMW sat 3 rows over. He hadn't been just leaving. He'd been waiting for me. "You okay? Want me to call someone? You look a little—" shaky. "I'm fine." "Good, good. Well, if you change your mind about that investment—" He walked away whistling. Actually whistling, like we'd just had a pleasant conversation about the weather. I got in my car, locked the doors. My phone sat in the cup holder. I picked it up. My thumb hovered over 911. 3 digits. Simple. But what would I say? My son-in-law shoved me and I happened to nearly get hit by a car. No witnesses. His word against mine. At my age, they'd probably ask about my vision, my reflexes. Maybe suggest I shouldn't drive anymore. I put the phone down, reached into my pocket instead. Pulled out the vintage dictation recorder I always carry. Silver Olympus, 1987 model. Part of my collection, still works perfectly. I pressed record. Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. 3:51 p.m. Publix parking lot, 56th Street, Seminole Heights. Subject, Thaddeus Fox. Incident, assault with attempt. My voice came out steady, professional, like I was back in the courtroom documenting testimony. Subject approached requesting $15,000. 6th request this calendar year. Subject displayed signs of intoxication, slurred speech, unsteady gait, smell of whiskey on breath, Jim Beam, likely. Upon refusal, subject became physically aggressive. Shoved me toward moving vehicle. Silver Toyota Camry. Florida plates. I avoided contact. Subject then created false narrative for potential witnesses stating I should be more careful. No actual witnesses present in immediate vicinity. I paused the recording, looked up. Ted's BMW backed out of its spot, turned, drove past me. He waved. Friendly. Like nothing had happened. The memory hit me then. Thanksgiving dinner. 6 months back. Ted leaning across the table after everyone else had gone into the living room, the good china still between us. Just 8,000. I got this deal, importing car parts. Legit business. And you'll pay me back by Christmas? January latest. You know me, Oz. I'd said no then, too. Watched him force that same smile before rejoining Ursula in the other room. That was 6 months ago. I was still waiting for that conversation to matter. My phone buzzed. Text message. Ursula. Dad, Ted said you two talked. Why are you being so stubborn about helping us? I stared at the screen. 17 minutes. He'd gotten to her in 17 minutes. My thumb moved toward the keyboard. I could explain. Tell her what really happened. Try to make her understand that her husband just tried to... I stopped. Picked up the recorder instead. Subject's wife contacted me 17 minutes after incident. Message suggests subject has already provided his version of events to her. I started the engine. The recorder sat on the passenger seat, still running. The red light blinked steady. Recording. Always recording. In the rearview mirror, I could see the smashed eggs on the asphalt, already starting to cook in the Florida sun. Ted just made the world's most expensive omelet without even trying. I pulled out of the parking lot and headed home. The recorder kept running. I gave myself 48 hours to decide what to do. Turned out I only needed 4. The drive home took 15 minutes. 15 minutes of watching other cars, checking mirrors, making sure Ted hadn't decided to follow up his performance. My elbow burned where the asphalt had scraped it. Small price. Could have been my skull. I pulled into my driveway on Elm Street. The house sat there like it had for 70 years. Small bungalow, white paint peeling in spots I kept meaning to fix, oak tree in front that needed trimming. Paid off in 2012. Mine. Nobody could take it. Inside, I walked past the family photos on the wall without looking. Straight to my office. Used to be the garage until I converted it 15 years ago. Walls covered with framed certificates from my courthouse career. Shelves lined with vintage stenography machines and recorders. My collection. Some people collect stamps. I collect ways to document the truth. I opened the filing cabinet, pulled out a manila folder, grabbed a pen, wrote on the tab in my old stenographer's shorthand. T. Fox, March 2025. If Ted ever found it, he'd think I was writing ancient Egyptian, which frankly might be easier for him to read. I sat down and started writing. Time of incident, location. Witnesses, none. Ted's physical condition, his exact words, the Camry's trajectory, everything. 35 years of court work taught me this. Documentation beats memory every time. My phone rang at 7:30. Ursula. Ursula, honey, we need to talk about Ted. Dad, seriously? Ted told me about today. Why are you being difficult? Her voice came through cold, clipped. Not the daughter I knew. Not the girl who used to call me every Sunday just to chat. Difficult? I don't think you understand what? You promised you'd help us. We're family. Ted's got this investment opportunity, and you're acting like we're asking for a kidney. My free hand found the grocery receipt on the desk, crumpled it, tossed it at the wastebasket. Missed. I never promised anything, and this is the 6th time this year he's... Oh, so you're counting now. That's nice, Dad. Real nice. The line went dead. She hung up on me, my own daughter. I sat there holding the phone, staring at the shorthand notes I'd been making. The pen had left an ink blot where I'd stopped mid-word. I didn't sleep much. Spent the night replaying everything. Ted's laugh, Ursula's voice, the sound of eggs hitting pavement. At some point around 3 a.m., I made coffee. Watched the street through the kitchen window. Nobody out there. Just the orange glow of streetlights and the occasional car passing. Wednesday morning arrived, 7:45. I stepped onto my front porch with coffee, same as every morning. Silas King was already on his porch next door, 10 feet that way. Retired Tampa PD homicide detective, 72 years old, gray buzz cut, weathered face that had seen everything worth seeing and most things worth forgetting. He wore his usual fishing shirt and cargo shorts. Morning, Oz. Morning, Si. I reached for my coffee mug on the porch railing, my sleeve pulled back. The bruise on my forearm showed. Purple and yellow. Silas's eyes narrowed. That's some bruise. You get in a fight with your car door? Something like that. Uh-huh. And I'm the Easter Bunny. What happened? It's handled, Si. He took a long sip of his coffee. Didn't look away. 30 years in homicide teaches you to read faces. He was reading mine like a court transcript. Don't give me that. I saw that look on faces for 30 years. That's not handled. That's planning. I'm not planning anything. Long pause. Birds chirped in the oak tree. A delivery truck rumbled past on the street. You need help. You know where I live. That's 10 feet that way. He pointed to his house. I nodded. Went back inside. Silas meant well, but this was mine to handle. Some things you don't drag neighbors into, even retired detectives who'd probably love the excuse to work a case again. I spent the morning doing what I do best. Research. Opened my laptop, started with the basics. Ted's social media. His LinkedIn showed financial consultant as his current position. The last post was from 8 months ago. Before that, scattered updates about exciting opportunities and building wealth. Nothing concrete, nothing real. I moved to public records. Florida makes it easy if you know where to look. DMV records, county clerk filings, court cases. I labeled the folder in my old stenographer's shorthand. If Ted ever found it, he'd think I was writing ancient Egyptian, which frankly might be easier for him to read. At 2 p.m., I made a decision, got in my car, drove to the auto dealership where Ted supposedly worked, parked across the street, waited. Ted's BMW pulled out at 2:30. I followed. Not close, just enough to keep him in sight. He didn't go home. Drove straight to the Channelside District, Harbor Tavern, waterfront place, not cheap. I parked down the block, took out my phone, switched to camera, zoomed in. My hands stayed steady now. Funny how that worked. Yesterday they shook. Today they were rock solid. Ted met a man outside. The guy wore a suit that looked like it came from the intimidating lowlife section at Men's Warehouse. They weren't subtle. Nobody meeting for legitimate business drinks, that much coffee and looks that nervous. Ted kept checking over his shoulder. The other guy leaned in close when he talked. Pointed at Ted's chest once. Not friendly. I took a dozen photos. Zoomed in on the guy's face. Got his license plate when he left. Got Ted's expression afterward. Pale, sweating despite the breeze off the water. The drive home took 20 minutes. I pulled into my driveway with a dozen photos on my phone and more questions than answers. That night, 11:47 p.m., I sat at my desk with reading glasses on. The computer screen cast blue light across the office. I'd been at this for 3 hours. Public records. Credit reports aren't public, but liens are. Court judgments are. Vehicle titles are. Certificate of title. Lien holder. There you are. The PDF loaded. I leaned forward. Ursula Fox, 2019 Honda CR-V, $18,500 loan from Quick Cash Auto Finance. I took off my glasses, pinched the bridge of my nose, put them back on, read it again. The date, February 15th, 2025, 1 month ago. You used her car. You idiot. I opened a new document, started typing. Header, known assets, T. Fox. Under it, 2015 BMW 340e. Leased, not owned. Next line, wife's vehicle, compromised. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I was building a case like I used to build transcripts. Every detail, every connection. The question was, what kind of case? What was I actually planning? My phone buzzed on the desk. Text message. Unknown number. Mr. Harris, we need to talk about your son-in-law. You're not the only one he owes. I stared at the screen. The message sat there. Blue bubble against black background. My finger moved toward the delete button. Hovered. Pulled back. I picked up my recorder instead. Pressed record. Wednesday, March 19th, 11:52 p.m. Received text from unknown number regarding subject. Message suggests third-party involvement in subject's financial situation. Number 313-555-4789. I saved the number, saved the message, added it to the file. The house was silent except for the refrigerator, humming 2 rooms away. On my screen, Ursula's car title stared back at me, evidence of what Ted had done without her knowledge. Using her vehicle as collateral for a loan she probably didn't know existed. I closed the laptop, stood up, walked to the window. The street outside was empty, dark, peaceful. Tomorrow I'd have to decide what to do with all this information. Tonight, I just needed to know it existed. The recorder sat on my desk, red light blinking. Still running, always running. I turned it off, sat back down, opened my laptop again. There was work to do. I didn't respond to that text Wednesday night. Instead, I did something smarter. I waited. Thursday crawled by. I spent the morning reviewing my recordings from the Publix incident, transcribing Ted's exact words into my notebook. The afternoon went to organizing files, checking facts, making lists of what I knew and what I needed to know. Around noon, I called Silas, told him about the mysterious text. He said nothing for 10 seconds, then, "You got yourself into something. Want help?" I told him I'd think about it. At 4:30, Ursula called. Her voice came through bright and fake, like she'd practiced it. "Dad, Ted and I were thinking, maybe we should all have dinner tonight. Clear the air." I checked my watch. Thursday evening, less than 48 hours since Ted tried to turn me into a parking lot pancake. Fast turnaround for a peace offering. Tonight, if you're free, 7 o'clock, our place. Nothing fancy, just family. I could have said no. Should have, probably. But people reveal themselves over dinner tables. Court stenographers learn this early. Listen to what people say when they think they're comfortable. I'll be there. The drive from Seminole Heights to South Tampa took 25 minutes. Bayshore Boulevard runs along the water. Expensive houses on one side, rental properties trying to look expensive on the other. Ted and Ursula's Mediterranean-style rental sat halfway down at 3401, white stucco with red tile roof, probably $3,200 a month. Too much house for what Ted supposedly earned. I sat in the car for 3 minutes before going in, checked the vintage recorder in my inside jacket pocket, adjusted the volume. The device sat snug against my ribs, hidden by the sport coat I'd chosen specifically for this purpose. Old habits. When you spend 35 years documenting courtroom testimony, you start recording everything that matters. Sometimes things that don't matter yet. Ted opened the door before I knocked. His handshake came too firm, held 2 seconds too long. Power move. He reeked of cologne applied heavily enough to almost mask the underlying whiskey smell. Almost. "Oz, great to see you. Come in, come in." The dining room table was already set. Ursula emerged from the kitchen wearing an apron over a nice dress, face flushed from cooking. She hugged me briefly, stiff, formal, like embracing a distant relative at a funeral. We sat. Ted poured wine. His hands trembled slightly. The bottle neck clinked against the glass rim twice before he steadied it. He filled his own glass noticeably higher than ours. "So?" Ted said, raising his glass. "To family." "To family?" Ursula echoed. I sipped. The wine was decent. Probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Dinner progressed. Ursula served steak that had seen more heat than the surface of Mercury. I smiled, chewed for approximately 45 seconds per bite, and wondered if this was part of the revenge plan I hadn't initiated yet. The meat was leather. I said nothing. Complimented the potatoes instead. Ted drank, refilled his glass, drank more. The table vibrated slightly from his bouncing leg until Ursula put her hand on his knee. He stopped for maybe 2 minutes. "So, Oz," Ted said, cutting his steak with exaggerated care, "you feeling better after your little accident Tuesday? That parking lot can be dangerous, huh?" "Oh, that? Yes, I think I just got dizzy. The heat, you know. You gotta be more careful, old-timer. At your age, a fall like that." Ursula laughed, too loud. "Dad, have you thought about one of those medical alert things? You know, help, I've fallen?" They both laughed. I smiled along. What I really needed was a "help, my son-in-law tried to murder me" button, but those aren't covered by Medicare. "Not a bad idea, actually," Ted continued. "Living alone at 68, anything could happen." "I'm fine, just clumsy sometimes." I cut another piece of steak, chewed slowly, watched them over my fork. Ted poured himself wine like he was trying to hit a daily quota. By the third glass, I stopped counting. By the fourth, I started wondering if he'd been taking tips from his Tuesday afternoon performance at Publix. Somewhere during the main course, Ted's phone buzzed on the table. He glanced at it. His face went white. Actually white. He silenced it quickly, shoved it in his pocket. "Who is it?" Ursula asked. "Nobody. Work thing." His tone cut sharp, final. But I saw the fear. Just a flash, maybe 2 seconds, before the fake smile returned. Real terror. the kind that lives in your chest and squeezes. Later, while Ted went to the kitchen for dessert, I watched through the doorway. He stood at the counter, head down, shoulders slumped. His hand gripped the counter edge. Whatever was chasing him had sharp teeth. Then he straightened, picked up the pie, and walked back in smiling. Apple pie. Ursula made it from scratch. We ate dessert. Ted relaxed as the wine worked through him, started talking more freely. Ursula mentioned you updated your will recently. Few years back. Standard stuff. Right. Just, it's important to be fair. You've got 2 daughters. Ursula set down her fork. Ted, that's not... I'm just saying Felicity's doing great up in Seattle. Married to that tech guy. Meanwhile, we're... He stopped himself, took a drink. Nothing. Just fairness matters in families, that's all I meant. I played the part. Confused old man. Forgiving father. I suppose you're right. I'll think about it. The words came out too quickly, too agreeable. A real confused old man would have pushed back or ignored the comment entirely. Ted's eyes flickered, brief suspicion, but Ursula was watching, so he smiled and changed the subject. I needed to use the bathroom. Stood slowly, carefully, played my role. They directed me down the hall. Guest bathroom, second door. I closed the door, counted to 10, then opened the drawer under the sink. People hide things in bathrooms. Financial shame especially. They figure spouses won't look there, or maybe they just need the privacy of concealment. Ted was no different. Stack of bills. Credit card statements. Capital One. $12,734. Past due. American Express. Collection notice. Multiple others. I pulled out my phone. Photographed everything. My hands didn't shake anymore. Funny how that works. Tuesday they trembled. Tonight they were rock steady. I flushed the toilet for authenticity. Washed my hands. Rejoined them in the dining room. Ursula asked if I wanted coffee. I declined. Said something about needing my sleep. Early bedtime these days. She nodded. Understanding. Concern for the aging father who needed his rest. The steak was well done, I said at the door. I made it how Ted likes it, Ursula replied. Defensive. Sharp. I remember you used to ask me how I wanted... That was before, Dad. Things change. People grow up, start their own families. Of course, I understand. She looked at me. Really looked. For just a moment I saw doubt in her eyes. Question. Like she was trying to solve an equation that wasn't adding up. Then Ted appeared behind her, hand on her shoulder, and the moment passed. Do you? She said. Because lately it seems like you don't understand much about supporting family. I left, got in my car, sat there at 9:45 watching them through the lit dining room window. Ted poured another glass of wine. Ursula cleared plates. Normal domestic scene, except nothing about it was normal. I pulled out my phone, called the number I'd written down earlier. Thelma Wood answered on the second ring. Thelma, it's Osmond Harris. Your mother and I worked together at... Mr. Harris, of course I remember you. How are you? I need to speak with you about a family matter. Legal advice. Her tone shifted. Professional. What kind of family matter? The complicated kind. Can you meet tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday. I can do 10 a.m. My office on Dale Mabry. I'll be there. And Thelma, this stays between us. Pause. She understood. Understood. I ended the call, picked up my notebook from the passenger seat. Wrote, TF, credit cards 12K plus. Mentioned will, thrice. Afraid of phone call. UF, conflicted. Check, other debts. My phone showed the mysterious text from Wednesday. You're not the only one he owes. I stared at it. Typed a response. Who is this? My thumb hovered over send. Before I pressed it, my phone rang. Unknown number. Same area code as the text. I answered. Hello? Silence. Then breathing. Then a click. Deadline. I lowered the phone. Stared at it. Wrong number. Or someone checking if I'd answer, or nothing. Everything or nothing. I was too tired to tell the difference. I drove home. Replayed the dinner recording. Every word. Every pause. Every glass of wine Ted poured. I transcribed it all into my notebook with timestamps, observations about body language, notes about the trembling hands and the terrified phone glance. 3 years ago, Ted joined our family for Thanksgiving. He was charming then, attentive, held Ursula's chair, Asked me about my work, laughed at my stories. I liked him. Actually liked him. Now I sat in my office at midnight with a recorder, a notebook, and 12 photographs of his hidden debts. I slapped the steering wheel. The recording played back my own voice saying, "I'll think about it," to Ted's will comment. Too eager, too compliant. Mistake. He'd noticed. I'd overplayed the confused old man card, and now he'd be more careful. The recorder sat next to me. Still running, always running. I turned it off. Tomorrow was Friday, Thelma at 10. Then I'd know what came next. Silas met Bobby Herrera at Armature Works at 9:15 Friday morning. I wasn't there, but Silas told me everything later. The coffee shop sits in Tampa Heights, industrial space converted to trendy market. Exposed brick, Edison bulbs, coffee that costs what my father paid for a full tank of gas. Bobby arrived in cargo shorts and a fishing shirt, 58 years old, retired from Vice 3 years back. He and Silas worked cases together in the 90s, back when Tampa actually had organized crime worth investigating. Now Bobby did security consulting, which meant sitting in air conditioning and occasionally telling store owners their cameras pointed the wrong direction. Silas slid a manila folder across the table. Inside was Ted's photo, printed from Ursula's Facebook. Bobby winced. Actually winced. Like Silas had asked him to eat gas station sushi. You remember working bookies in Ybor back in the day? Yeah. Most of them went legit or left town when sports betting opened up. Why? Name Victor Torres mean anything? Bobby whistled low. Torres. Yeah, he's still around. Old school, doesn't use apps or websites. Cash only. He dangerous? Let's say he collects what he's owed, one way or another. You got someone into him? Friend's son-in-law. How deep would someone have to be before Torres gets serious? Bobby pulled out a napkin, wrote 95K with a pen from his pocket, slid it across, tapped it twice with his finger. Anything over 50 grand, you're on a payment plan whether you like it or not. Past due, Torres has guys for that. Silas told me all this later over Cuban sandwiches at my kitchen table. 1 o'clock. I'd just gotten back from Thelma's office. Bobby says Torres is serious. 95,000 serious. I set down my sandwich. How does Ted even... Sports betting. NFL mostly, some college ball. Been at it for 2 years, chasing losses. Ursula doesn't know. Course not. Torres doesn't exactly send payment reminders through the mail. 8 weeks until deadline, you said? Late May. Memorial Day weekend, actually. Torres has a sense of humor. Silas took a bite. Chewed. Studied me. This explains the desperation. He wasn't just being greedy. He's drowning. Desperate people do desperate things. Thelma's office occupied the second floor of a professional building on Dale Mabry Highway. Real Tampa, legal district. The waiting room had those motivational posters lawyers love. One showed a lighthouse at sunset. Justice is a journey, not a destination. I wanted to add a footnote. But sometimes the journey involves making your son-in-law wish he'd never learned to push. Thelma appeared at 10 exactly. 45 years old, business suit, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. Her mother and I worked together at the courthouse for 12 years before she retired. Good woman. Sharp. I hoped her daughter inherited that sharpness. We sat in her conference room. I spread my documentation across the table. Photos from the parking lot, transcribed recordings, timeline on yellow legal pad, the credit card bills from Ted's bathroom drawer. Thelma put on her reading glasses, studied everything with a lawyer's precision, made margin notes, stopped at the parking lot incident photos, looked up at me. Mr. Harris, this is attempted murder. You need to file a police report. No witnesses. Security camera was pointed the wrong way. It's my word against his. These recordings, though, the dinner conversation, won't hold up. Florida's a two-party consent state. I know the law. She leaned back, crossed her arms. Then what exactly are you planning? My hands flattened on the table. Physical rejection of her unspoken suggestion. Go slow. Play it safe. Let the system handle it. I want him to lose everything. Not just the inheritance. Everything. I'm a family law attorney, not a, what are you asking me to do? Stand by. When I need legal documents, proper procedures, everything by the book, that's when I'll call. This is a mistake. The clean way is for people who weren't pushed into traffic by their own son-in-law. She studied me. Long silence. Finally nodded. Call me when you're ready. I'll help. but I'm documenting that I advised against this. Document whatever you need. I left at 11:30, texted her at 12:30. Thanks for meeting. We'll be in touch. She responded at 12:45. Mr. Harris, please reconsider the standard approach. Less risk. I replied, risk is part of justice sometimes. Her final text came at 1:15. Call me when you're ready. I'll help, but I'm documenting that I advised against this. At 4:30, my phone rang. Felicity, my older daughter, lives in Seattle with her husband Orville, works in marketing for some outdoor gear company. We talk maybe twice a month, always surface level. How's the weather? How's work? Love you. Miss you. Bye. Dad, how are you? Orville and I have been worried. I set down the pen I'd been using. Worried? About what? Ursula called, said there's been some tension. She's concerned about you. My chest tightened. Ted and Ursula had already reached out, building their narrative, planting seeds. What exactly did she say? That you had a fall, that you're being stubborn about money, that she's worried you're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly, honey. I'm not saying you're not. It's just, Dad, you're 68, living alone. Maybe it's time to think about what? Having family closer. Anyway, Orville suggested he come down for a visit, check on you, help mediate with Ursula. That's not necessary. He already booked the flight. Lands Sunday afternoon. Is it okay if he stays with you? I opened my mouth to argue, closed it, thought. Having Felicity's husband here might actually help. Orville was reasonable. Successful tech worker, made good money. Married to my daughter, who wasn't asking me for loans every other week. Maybe he could talk sense into Ursula. Finally, someone reasonable in this mess. Of course, I'd be happy to have him. Great, I'll text you his flight information. Dad, I love you. We both just want to make sure you're okay. I know, I love you too. We hung up. I sat at my desk, staring at the blank page in my notebook. Pulled it toward me. Wrote at the top. Orville Parker, age 40, tech worker, Seattle. Below that, nothing. I knew almost nothing about my son-in-law of 5 years. We'd met maybe 6 times, always brief holiday visits. He was polite, quiet, successful looking. That was it. That was my entire knowledge base. I picked up my phone, considered calling Felicity back to ask more questions. But that would seem suspicious. Paranoid old man who doesn't trust his own family. My other phone buzzed. Text from Silas. Want me to run a background check on your visitor? I stared at the message. That felt excessive. Orville was family. Felicity wouldn't marry someone problematic, right? My finger hovered between responses. No, that's paranoid. Yes, better safe than sorry. Before I could answer, my email pinged. Subject line. Flight confirmation, Orville Parker, Seattle to Tampa. Sunday, 3:45 p.m. arrival. Forwarded from Felicity. American Airlines. First class. I noted that detail. First class. Either his tech job paid very well, or he valued comfort highly. Or both? A second email arrived while I stared at the first. No subject line. Sender. An unfamiliar address. Random string of letters and numbers at Gmail. I opened it. One line. Ask Orville about his debts. No signature, no explanation. Just those 5 words. My hand tightened on the phone. I read it again. Read it a third time. Looked at the sender address. Gibberish. Could be anyone. Could be spam. Could be another warning from whoever texted Wednesday night. I forwarded it to Silas with one word. Thoughts? He replied immediately. Running that background check. Don't say yes or no. Already doing it. I stood up, paced my office. This morning I thought I understood the situation. Ted owed $95,000 to a bookie. Ted needed money. Ted tried to kill me for inheritance. Simple equation. Clear problem. Solvable. Now there was Orville, coming Sunday, with debts, supposedly. Silas called at 5 o'clock. Bobby gave me Torres's information. 2 years ago, Ted started betting. Small at first. 100 here, 200 there. Then his father died. I stopped pacing. Ted's father died? Yeah. Apparently the old man was a loser. Drank himself to death in a trailer park outside Ocala. Ted found out he'd left nothing but debt. Bobby says Torres keeps files on clients. Ted told him once he was trying to win enough to prove something. I sat down slowly. 37 years old, dead father, poverty, trying to outrun the past with bets he couldn't afford. For just a moment, I felt something almost like understanding. Then I remembered the parking lot, the eggs hitting pavement, the Camry's bumper, Ted's laugh. The understanding hardened, froze, cracked into pieces. Thanks for the information, Si. About Orville, let me know what you find. Will do. Oz, be careful. Something about all this feels wrong. I hung up, sat at my desk as evening light faded through the window. On my computer screen, still open, was Ursula's car title with its $18,000 lien. On my phone, an anonymous email about Orville's debts. On my legal pad, a timeline that grew more complicated by the hour. Somewhere in Ybor City, Victor Torres was waiting for his $95,000. Somewhere in Seattle, Orville Parker was packing for Tampa. And somewhere in South Tampa, Ted was probably drinking and wondering if I'd actually change my will, like I'd promised at dinner. Like I'd said too quickly, too agreeably. I'd made a mistake there, overplayed my hand. And now I had 2 days before Orville arrived with his mysterious debts and his first-class ticket and his mediation mission. I opened a new document on my computer, started typing. Known complications. 1. Victor Torres, 95K deadline Memorial Day. 2. Orville Parker, unknown debts arriving Sunday. I stared at the screen. 2 problems. Maybe 3 if I counted Ursula's loyalty to Ted. 4 if I counted my own daughter thinking I was losing my mind. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Same one from Wednesday. Orville isn't who you think he is. Neither is Felicity. I stared at those words. Read them twice. 3 times. Typed back, "Who is this? What do you want?" 3 dots appeared. Someone typing. Then they stopped. Started again. Stopped. Finally, to help you. But you need to trust me. I set down the phone. Looked around my office, walls covered with certificates from a 35-year career documenting truth, shelves lined with machines designed to capture reality. Everything in my life had been about facts, evidence, records. Now I was getting anonymous texts telling me to trust strangers about my own family. I picked up my recorder, the vintage Olympus, pressed record. Friday, March 21st, 5:37 p.m. Situation assessment. Subject T. Fox owes $95,000 to unlicensed bookie. Deadline late May. Subject's wife, my daughter, appears complicit or manipulated. Daughter 2, Felicity, has been contacted with false narrative. Her husband Orville arriving Sunday with alleged debts of his own. Anonymous contact claims Felicity also compromised. Assessment. I may have underestimated this situation significantly. I paused the recording, stared at the red light. Sunday was 2 days away. Orville was coming to mediate, or coming for something else entirely. I pressed record again. New priority. Investigate Orville Parker before arrival. Determine if he's ally or additional threat. Adjust strategy accordingly. I stopped recording, but I didn't turn it off. Left it running, just in case. Just in case of what? I didn't know yet. The phone call lasted 17 minutes. The voice belonged to Margaret Chen, retired court reporter from Hillsborough County. We'd worked together for 8 years before she moved to Atlanta. She apologized for being cryptic, but explained she had a friend whose sister worked at a Seattle law firm handling Orville's bankruptcy filing. Bankruptcy? Filed 3 months ago. Chapter 13. He owes $460,000. I sat on my bed, phone pressed to my ear. How? Tech startup investment that collapsed. Then he doubled down with borrowed money trying to recover. Classic hole-digging scenario. After she hung up, I sat in the dark. Sunday I'd pick up Orville at the airport. I'd originally planned to decline Silas's offer of a background check. Now I had one anyway, delivered by coincidence and Margaret's careful networking. $460,000. Ted owed $95,000. Together they needed over $500,000. I was worth about $730,000 if you counted the house and my savings. I was the solution to both their problems. Sunday afternoon arrived. Tampa International Airport, 4:15. I waited at arrivals with a paper sign that said, Parker, because Orville always thought that was charming. His flight landed early. He came through the doors wearing expensive casual clothes, pulling a leather suitcase, all smiles. "Dad, you look good." We hugged. I felt his arms around me and wondered if he was calculating how much longer I'd be alive. "How are you feeling?" Felicity's been worried. "I'm fine. Why is everyone suddenly concerned about my health?" "Just family caring for family." She said there was some tension with Ursula and Ted. Minor disagreement, nothing serious. The drive home took 35 minutes. Orville asked questions. How was I sleeping? Was I eating enough? Did I have any chest pains or shortness of breath? Medical inventory disguised as concern. "It's not about money," I said at one point. "It's always about money, Dad, or it becomes about money eventually." We pulled into my driveway. Orville looked at the house the way people look at property listings. That night he cooked dinner, pasta with vegetables, served me generous portions. "You should eat more, Dad. You're looking thin." Concern or baseline assessment before the eventual decline. Monday morning he made elaborate breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast. I ate slowly, checking each bite for anything unusual. It was actually pretty good, which somehow made everything worse. This is a great house. You've been here, what, 40 years? 32. Bought it in 93. Paid off? Long ago. Why? Just thinking about estate planning. Felicity mentioned you have everything set up, wheel done, and everything. It's handled. That's good. Important to be fair to both daughters, though, right? I mean, Felicity and I are doing fine, but Ursula and Ted are struggling. Maybe there's a way to balance things. I chewed my toast, swallowed. I'll think about it. Monday crawled. Orville played perfect house guest. Offered to fix the loose cabinet hinge. Asked if I needed help with yard work. Made coffee in the morning, too smooth, too polished, like he'd rehearsed this role. Tuesday morning, he announced plans to explore Tampa. Visit the Riverwalk, maybe Ybor City. He'd be gone a few hours. The moment his rental car pulled away, I grabbed my phone. Amazon app. Searched security camera. Blink Mini. $49, 6-hour delivery. I installed a spy camera in my own living room to catch my son-in-law plotting my death. Amazon had it delivered by noon. Technology is amazing when you're documenting your own murder conspiracy. The camera went behind books on the living room shelf, aimed at the couch where Orville liked to sit. I downloaded the app, tested it, perfect angle, motion-activated recording, cloud storage. My hands shook mounting it, first time since the parking lot. I triple-checked the angle. This had to work. Orville returned at 2. I was in the garage with my stenography machine collection, pretending to clean them. He called out that he was home. I yelled back I'd be a while. 7:30 that evening I stayed in the garage. Ran the power buffer on an old machine. Made noise. Let him think I was absorbed in my hobby. The camera caught everything. Orville paced the living room. Checked the garage door twice. Pulled out his phone. Made a call. I watched on my phone app from behind the garage window. Saw his lips move. Couldn't hear yet, but the camera was recording audio. I'd listen later. He gestured with his free hand. Wrote notes on a pad I could see clearly. Made timeline and insurance check. The call lasted 12 minutes. He hung up, sat on the couch, put his head in his hands, stayed that way for maybe 40 seconds. Then straightened up, went to the kitchen, came back with wine. I finished in the garage at 9, came inside. Orville sat on the couch with his laptop. Working, he said. I said goodnight. Went to my bedroom. Locked the door. 10:45. I opened my laptop, accessed the Blink app. Found the recording. Pressed play. Orville's voice came through clear. "It's me. We're good." Yeah, he bought the whole concerned family thing. "Listen, this moves faster than we planned. He's old, Ted. Really old. Moves slow, gets confused easily." I sat on the edge of my bed, laptop balanced on my knees. The recording continued. "I told you. We get him to revise the will. Split everything 50-50 between the daughters. Then we control our halves. I'm talking a month, maybe less. Here's the deal. I'll front you $20,000 right now today. You keep Ursula sweet and make sure she backs my play." My jaw clenched. I forced myself to keep listening. "What about Torres? That's your problem. But if you want my money, you play ball. One more thing. Does he take any medications? Heart stuff? Blood pressure? Maybe we can help nature along?" Silence as Ted responded. "I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being in the right place when he has his inevitable health crisis. You pushed him in front of a car, you idiot. I'm talking about finesse. I closed the laptop lid, carefully, resisting the urge to slam it shut, to throw it across the room, to scream. 2 sons-in-law. Both wanted me dead. One tried force. One preferred finesse. I walked to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror. 68 years old. Gray hair, lines around my eyes. Tired, but alive. Still alive. I returned to the bedroom, opened the laptop, played the recording again. And again. 3rd time I started transcribing. Every word. Timestamps, observations, old stenographer habit. Document everything. When I finished, I pulled out my legal pad, drew 2 columns. Ted at the top of one, Orville at the top of the other. Under Ted, gambling debt. $95K to Torres. Deadline May. Tried physical murder. Drinking problem. Desperate. Under Orville, bankruptcy. $460K debt. Needs inheritance. Playing long game. Smarter than Ted. Also desperate. I added a 3rd column. Felicity. Under it I wrote 1 word. Innocent. 3 years ago at Thanksgiving, Orville held out Felicity's chair, complimented my cooking, talked about his daughter starting high school, how proud he was. I'd liked him, trusted him. My phone buzzed. Text from Felicity. Dad, thanks for hosting Orville. He says you seem great. Another. He's going to stay through the weekend if that's okay. Another. Love you. So glad family is coming together. 3 heart emojis. I stared at those messages. My daughter's innocence captured in emoji hearts. My fingers moved to reply, Honey, we need to talk about Orville. I stopped. Deleted it. Too soon. She wouldn't believe me without proof, and I needed Orville to think everything was normal. I typed instead, happy to have him. Good man you married. Sent it. Hated myself for lying. Walked to my office, pulled out the file labeled T. Fox. Created a 2nd file. O. Parker. Opened my email. Margaret's warning had been right. The anonymous email from Friday was still there. Ask Orville about his debts. I clicked reply, typed, I'm listening. Tell me everything. Hit send. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Same area code. I answered, Hello? Mr. Harris, my name is Margaret Chen. We worked together at the courthouse. She explained about Orville's bankruptcy, his startup collapse, his daughter's college tuition at $70,000 annually, how he'd lost everything trying to recover, how he was drowning just like Ted. You think I want to do this? Orville's voice had said on the recording. I've got a daughter starting college next year, tuition's $70,000 annually, and the Seattle housing market ate every dollar I saved. Then his voice had hardened. But we do what we need to do. I thanked Margaret, hung up, sat in my dark office. 2 desperate men, 2 different methods. 1 target. I picked up my vintage recorder, pressed record. Tuesday, March 25th, 11:23 p.m. Subject. O. Parker confirmed co-conspirator with subject T. Fox. Both planning murder within 30 days. Both financially desperate. O. Parker, bankruptcy $460,000. T. Fox, gambling debt $95,000. Combined need $555,000. My total assets approximately $730,000. I am the solution to both their problems. I paused. Subject O. Parker mentioned medication manipulation. Subject T. Fox mentioned acceleration, both discussing timeline of 1 month or less. Threats now doubled. Response must be comprehensive. I stopped recording, stared at the red light. Tomorrow I'd call Thelma, show her everything. Then we'd start building the trap. Not just for Ted anymore, for both of them. I called Thelma at 8 Wednesday morning. Orville was in the shower. I could hear water running through the pipes. Emergency meeting. Can you see me at 10? What happened? I'll show you. Bring your evidence folder in whatever form you use for conspiracy documentation. At her office, I slid my laptop across her conference table. Press play on Orville's recording. Her hand went to her mouth. Stayed there through the whole 12 minutes. This is conspiracy to commit murder. She said it 3 times. Like repetition would make it more real. Or less real. I couldn't tell which she wanted. We call police. I become tragic victim. I want them to become cautionary tales. Mr. Harris, this is dangerous. They're planning to kill you. They're planning. I'm doing. There's a difference. She leaned back, studied me. What if they escalate? They will. That's when we have them on record attempting everything. Then we end it. Long pause. You're going to need more than me. Security, surveillance, protection. Already handled. My neighbor's former homicide detective. We've got coverage. She nodded slowly, opened her laptop. Then let's make them dance. We spent 90 minutes building the strategy. 2-part mechanism. Step 1, false will announcement. Step 2, fake insurance document. Thelma created a memo on her law firm letterhead. Estate planning discussion, O. Harris. Professional, convincing, completely fictional. She printed an insurance policy template from a legal forms website. $500,000. Term life insurance. Beneficiary line left blank. Downloaded and modified it to look aged, slightly wrinkled. Perfect bait. I drove home at 11:30. Orville sat on the porch with coffee. How was your errand? Productive. Made me think about things. Family. Fairness. I sat next to him. You've been talking about being fair to everyone. He perked up. Yes. Both daughters deserve equal treatment. I've decided you're right. I'm changing my will. That's great, Dad. Really mature of you. Yes, Ursula and Ted clearly need help, so they'll get everything. The coffee cup rattled against the saucer. He set it down carefully. His hands disappeared into his lap. Wait, everything? You mean split between both daughters, right? No, just Ursula. You said she's struggling. Felicity and you are doing fine. You said so yourself. I meant, Dad, fair means equal. 50-50 between your daughters. I played confused, tilted my head. But if Felicity doesn't need it and Ursula does, isn't it fairer to give it where it's needed? That's not how inheritance works. You split it equally. That's what fair means. Oh, well, maybe you're right. I'll think about it more. His legs started bouncing. The porch swing creaked with the rhythm. Inside, I made sandwiches. Ham and cheese. Orville barely touched his. Excused himself after 10 minutes. Said he needed to make work calls. Took his phone to the backyard. I watched through the kitchen window. He paced, ran his hand through his hair, gestured angrily at whoever was on the other end. The camera in the living room wouldn't catch this, but I didn't need it. His body language screamed panic. At 2 p.m., Thelma arrived with the insurance document. We'd arranged this in advance. She brought it in a manila folder. Here's the research you asked about, Mr. Harris. We sat at the dining table, reviewed fictional papers about fictional estate planning. After 15 minutes, she stood. I should go. Oh, I forgot this. She pointed at the manila folder on the table. You'll need it, I said. I'll get it next time. Just leave it there. She left. The folder sat on the dining table. Life insurance policy visible on the tab. Orville returned from errands at 4. I'd positioned myself in the garage again. Called out that I'd be a while. 5 minutes later, my phone showed motion alert from the living room camera. I opened the app, watched Orville walk to the dining table, look toward the garage, listen, then pick up the folder. He photographed every page, held his phone low, tried to be subtle, missed one page, took 3 photos total. Amateur, he replaced the folder exactly where it had been, walked to the kitchen, poured water, his hand shook slightly. I poured myself bourbon after watching that. First drink in weeks, didn't taste it, just held the glass. Sometimes you need a prop to feel like you're in control of something, even if it's just a glass of whiskey getting warm. My phone buzzed at 2:47. Text message intercepted by the monitoring app Silas had helped me install Saturday night. Orville to Ted. Plan's fucked. Old man is giving everything to you. Ted. What? That doesn't make sense. Orville. He's playing us or he's senile. Either way, we need to fix this. Ted. How? Orville. You make sure Ursula convinces him to split it 50-50. I'll work on him from here. Ted. What about the $20,000 you promised? Orville. Get the will fixed first, then we talk money. Ted. Torres wants payment Friday. I need that money now. Orville. Not my problem. Fix the will. 2 hours of silence. Then Orville. Found insurance docs. $500,000 policy. Ted. What? Orville. We're talking $1.2 million total now. Ted. Then front me $30,000. I'll handle Torres and we accelerate. Orville. Accelerate how? Ted. You said help nature along. I'll help. Orville. Be smart about it this time. I screenshot everything, added it to my evidence files, watched their alliance crack in real time. At 6 p.m., my phone rang. Felicity. Dad, Orville told me you're changing your will. Is that true? We discussed my estate planning, yes. He said you're leaving everything to Ursula? Are you cutting me out? The hurt in her voice cut through me. My daughter, my good daughter, innocent in all this. Honey, you're doing well. You and Orville are successful. Your sister's struggling with Ted's situation. Situation? What situation? Dad, what's going on? Nothing you need to worry about. This is my decision. It doesn't sound like you. Are you okay? Is someone pressuring you? I gripped the phone, hated myself. I'm fine. I'm just trying to do what's right. And cutting out your other daughter is right. I've been sending you money every month, Dad. Calling every week. Where's Ursula been? That hit hard, truth wrapped in hurt. I need to go. We'll talk later. I hung up before she could respond. Sat at my desk. Stared at the phone. Collateral damage. That's what they call it in war. Felicity was collateral damage in her husband's conspiracy. More texts came through that evening. Ted. My kid asked why I'm always stressed. Had to lie to a 7-year-old. You know what that feels like? Orville. Yeah, every day. Ted. We're really doing this, huh? Becoming the villains. Orville. We're already the villains. Now we're just getting paid for it. Even monsters have moments of clarity. Doesn't make them less monstrous. At 9:47, I sat in my office with 2 laptops. Left screen showed the intercepted texts. Right screen showed my bank account. I clicked transfer. Moved $30,000 from savings to checking. Opened email. Started typing. Torres, I know what Ted owes you. I have a better offer. Meet me Friday. Alone. I didn't have Torres's actual email. Addressed it to general info at Harbor Tavern, where Ted met him. Maybe it would reach him. Maybe it wouldn't. Worth trying. My finger hovered over send. The doorbell rang. 10 p.m. Unexpected. I checked my phone's security camera feed. Front porch. Ursula. Alone. Crying. Behind her in the driveway, her CRV packed with suitcases. She rang again. I stood. Walked to the door slowly, hand on the knob. Through the door. Daddy, please, I know you're there. I need help. I left Ted. My hand tightened on the doorknob. This was either the best break I'd gotten or the worst trap they'd laid. Behind me, I heard Orville's bedroom door open. Footsteps on the stairs. Dad? Someone at the door? Ursula outside. Please, Daddy. I have nowhere else to go. My thumb hovered between door lock and security chain. Orville appeared beside me. Is that Ursula? I looked at him. My son-in-law, who'd spent 2 days planning my murder, who'd photographed my fake insurance policy 4 hours ago, who stood here now playing concerned family member. Yes, I said. You should let her in. I turned back to the door. Ursula's silhouette visible through the frosted glass. Crying. Alone. My daughter. Who'd sided with Ted over me? Who'd overcooked steak while supporting his lies? Who'd asked about medical alert buttons like I was already failing? But also, my daughter, who might be innocent, who might finally be breaking free, or who might be bait in an even bigger trap. I unlocked the door, opened it. Ursula stood there, mascara running, suitcase at her feet. Hi, Daddy. Behind her, I could see Ted's BMW pulling away from the curb, taillights disappearing around the corner. Come in, I said. Ursula slept in her old bedroom, the one with faded butterfly wallpaper we'd never gotten around to changing. I made eggs at 6:30 Thursday morning while she showered, scrambled the way she liked them as a kid. She came into the kitchen wearing my old university sweatshirt, too big on her, made her look small. Daddy, I found the bills in the garage, hidden in his tool chest. There's so much money. I know about the gambling. She stopped, fork halfway to mouth. You knew? How long have you known? Does it matter? He told me you were being selfish about helping us, that you had plenty and wouldn't share. I was so angry at you. I poured coffee, watched the steam rise. And now? Now I feel like an idiot. How much did he hide from me? More than you want to know. She set down her fork, hadn't touched the eggs. I supported him when you said no. I chose him over you. I'm so sorry, Daddy. The words hung there. True, painful, Real. At the dinner last week, when he joked about me falling, you laughed. Her face crumpled. He said you tripped because you weren't being careful. I thought it was just a clumsy accident and he was teasing you. I nodded, took a sip of coffee I didn't taste. My mind was running through possibilities. Ursula seemed genuine, shocked, hurt, but I'd spent 35 years watching people lie under oath. Some were very good at it. At 10, I drove to AutoNation on Dale Mabry. Ted's dealership. Glass building, shiny cars in rows. That new car smell pumped through vents. Asked for Harold Pierce. He met me in his office. 50-something, nervous, kept glancing at the door. You sent the letter about my daughter. He rubbed his face. I couldn't say nothing. I've known Ursula since we were kids. She was in my sister's class. Why not tell her directly? Ted watches her like a hawk, controls her phone, her email. I tried once, he found out, threatened my job. And now? He's planning to fire me tomorrow. Says I've been undermining his marriage. I got 3 kids and a mortgage, Mr. Harris, but I couldn't stay quiet. He slid a flash drive across his desk. Small, silver, unassuming. What else do you know? The loans he took in her name? She never signed those applications. I've seen Ted's handwriting enough to recognize it. He forged her signature. You have proof? Everything. Copies of applications, his signature from dealer documents, hers from DMV records. It's forgery, Mr. Harris. It's fraud. I took the flash drive. Harold handed me a flash drive like we were in a spy movie. I half expected him to say, "This message will self-destruct." Instead, he said, "Ted's got my evaluation next week. I'm probably fired." At least spy movies pay better. Back home, I couldn't settle. Paced the kitchen. Ursula watched from the table. At 2, I walked next door. Silas sat on his porch with a beer. So what are you going to do? I don't know. If she really didn't know. She was still cold to you, still chose him. Because he lied to her, manipulated her. That's different than Orville, who knows exactly what he's doing. Is it? She's an adult. She made choices. Under false information, that's not choice, that's control. Long pause. A car drove past. Someone's lawn sprinkler clicked on down the street. You want to save her? She's my daughter. So is Felicity, and her husband's trying to kill you too. You saving everyone. I sat down in the other rocking chair, suddenly exhausted. Felicity doesn't know what Orville is. Ursula didn't know what Ted is, but now they're both finding out. And if Ursula's lying, playing you? I stared at my hands, wrinkled, spotted, old. Then I'll know soon enough. But what if she's not, Si? What if I destroy her for her husband's crimes? Silas brought 2 beers. We didn't drink them, just held them. The condensation ran down the bottles onto our hands. I sat there 20 minutes, phone in my pocket. Didn't call anyone, just sat, head in my hands. First time I'd shown that kind of defeat. Silas said nothing, good friend. Knew when silence was better than advice. Eventually I stood. I need to check something at home. The routine security check saved my life, or was about to. 7 p.m. I'd gone grocery shopping, left Orville alone with Ursula. Came back. Unloaded milk, bread, vegetables. Normal evening. Except for the motion alert on my phone from the guest bedroom camera. I waited until after dinner. Went to my room. Opened the app. The recording was from 5:30, while I was at Publix. Again. Everything circling back to that parking lot. Ted's voice came through first. She left me. Packed everything. Went to her father's. Orville. That's a problem. No shit, it's a problem. Old man's got her talking, showing her things. We're done if she flips. So we moved the timeline up. I sat on my bed, laptop on my knees. The exhaustion vanished, replaced by something colder. I'm saying Saturday. He swims at the Y every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Afterward, parking lot's empty. His car's old, brakes could fail. You tried the car thing already. That was improvised. This time we cut the brake line Friday night, it fails Saturday morning, he crashes. And if he survives again, he won't. There's that curve on Hillsborough Avenue, steep drop. 70-year-old man, brake failure, single vehicle accident, happens all the time. I played it 3 times. Transcribed every word. The stenographer's habit. Document everything. Ted's voice again. Torres wants his money Sunday. I don't have it. You won't front it. So either the old man dies this weekend, and we get the insurance payout fast, or Torres's guys kill me instead. I'm out of options. You sure about this? Ursula left me. Old man got to her. We're out of time. We do this Saturday, or Torres does it to me Sunday. I closed the laptop, walked to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror. All the doubt from this afternoon, gone, burned away by those recorded words. They were still trying to kill me, even with Ursula here, even knowing everything was falling apart. They were planning my murder, like ordering pizza. I walked to Ursula's room. She was asleep, face peaceful. Butterfly wallpaper behind her head. Same pattern from when she was 12. I stood in the doorway for maybe 2 minutes, made a silent promise I'd save her, and destroy them both. Those weren't contradictory goals anymore. Friday morning, 6:12, I hadn't slept. Kitchen table. 3 items in front of me. Harold's flash drive, my phone showing the transcribed murder plot, handwritten list titled Saturday Plan. Ursula walked in, my old sweatshirt, looking young. Morning, Daddy. You're up early. I closed the notebook. Couldn't sleep. Coffee? She nodded, sat across from me. I called a divorce attorney yesterday. She says with the forged loans, I have a strong case. I poured coffee, hands shaking from exhaustion, not fear. Good. That's good. She reached across, touched my hand. Thank you for believing me. Both our phones buzzed, simultaneous. Text from Ted, to both of us. Ursula, we need to talk. Can we meet Saturday morning? Dad, you should come too. Let's fix this as a family. 7 a.m., YMCA parking lot. I stared at the message, the location, the time, exactly where they'd planned the accident. Ursula looked up. Should I? My thumb moved to Thelma's contact, hovered, then moved to a different number. No, I said, but I need to show you something first. Silas told me betrayal is betrayal. Easy for him to say. His ex-wife just took the house, didn't try to take his life. Though knowing her, she probably considered it. Oxford Exchange sits in Tampa Heights. Coffee shop in a renovated building, high ceilings, bookshelves, fancy pastries that cost more than my first apartment's rent. 8:30, Friday morning. I chose it because it's public, neutral, safe. Ursula sat across from me, cappuccino between her hands, hadn't touched it. I slid my tablet across the table. I need you to watch something. It's going to be hard. What is it? Just watch. I pressed play. Orville's voice filled the space between us through my earbuds I handed her. His recorded call with Ted, planning my death, discussing brake lines and timing and insurance payouts. Her coffee cup stopped halfway to her mouth, set it down slowly without drinking. She watched the entire 12 minutes without blinking. When it finished, she pushed the tablet back, like it was contaminated. That's Orville? And Ted? They're planning to... She couldn't say it. Kill me. Yes. This is from Tuesday. And the parking lot incident you mentioned? I played the second recording. Ted admitting to the push. Orville calling him an idiot for being caught. She covered her mouth, said, "Oh my God," 3 times, then sat back, straightened her spine. The transformation visible. Victim to fighter. He tried to kill you. My husband tried to murder my father. He's also been taking loans in your name, forging your signature. You're legally liable for debts you didn't know existed. How much? $68,000 beyond the gambling debts. Long pause. Coffee shop noise around us. Someone's laughter. Espresso machine hissing. Normal life. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Would you have believed me? At that dinner you laughed when he joked about me falling. She was crying now. Quiet. Tears running mascara. Because I thought it was true. He showed me texts he claimed were from you, saying cruel things. He said you were jealous of our marriage, wanted us to fail. I believed every word. I know. That's what manipulators do. She wiped her face, voice hardening like steel cooling. What do you need me to do? We went to Thelma's office at 11. Ursula came with me, sat beside me on the leather couch while Thelma spread documents across her conference table. The public's footage shows clear assault. He pushed you toward moving traffic. I leaned forward. How did you get it? I tried. They said cameras weren't pointed that direction. They weren't. But the car that almost hit you? Driver's dash cam was running. He filed an incident report about elderly man nearly hit by push. Police had it. We subpoenaed. The driver saw? Saw everything. He's willing to testify. Says it's haunted him for weeks. Wondered if he should report it. Ursula's hand found mine, squeezed. So we have video evidence and witness, plus your dictation recording from immediately after, plus the conspiracy recordings, plus Harold's fraud evidence. Thelma looked at Ursula. Mr. Harris, we have enough to bury him. Do it. The papers were filed by noon. Civil lawsuit for assault and attempted murder. Criminal fraud charges for the forged signatures. Restraining orders. The whole package. Process server arrived at AutoNation at 1:30. I wasn't there, but Harold called me afterward. Described it perfectly. Thaddeus Fox. That's me. Can I help you? You've been served. Ted opened the envelope surrounded by customers looking at sedans, pulled out the papers, read the first page. Assault? Attempted murder? This is insane. Harold approached from his office. Problem, Ted. They're suing me. This is harassment. You're my witness, Harold. Tell them I never... Actually, Ted, I'm their witness. I gave them everything. Ted's face went white, then red, then white again. What? You betrayed me? No. I stopped watching you betray Ursula. You're fired. As of right now, I quit yesterday. Already have a new job. Good luck with the lawsuit. Ted's knees buckled. He dropped the papers. They scattered. He grabbed for the desk. Missed. Fell backward into the display of air fresheners. New car scent. Ocean breeze. Mountain fresh. None of them could cover the smell of his life falling apart. EMTs were called. Ted lay there surrounded by artificial pine smell while strangers checked his pulse. Harold watched from his office with something like satisfaction. At 4 p.m., the Tampa Tribune website posted, Local man sued for attempted murder of father-in-law. Orville saw it on his phone. I know because my security cameras caught him packing. He called Ted. I have the recording from the phone monitoring app. Tell me you didn't get served with a lawsuit. They have footage. Video of me pushing him. I thought there were no cameras. Dash cam. Jesus Christ, Ted. A dash cam. What do we do? We don't do anything. I'm leaving. You're what? Flight leaves at 8. I suggest you get a good lawyer. You said you'd front me the money for Taurus. It's Sunday tomorrow. That was when we had a plan. Now we have criminal charges. You're on your own. Orville threw clothes in his suitcase. Haphazard. Expensive suits wrinkled. Gym shorts. A tuxedo. One sock. When Felicity caught him later, she asked where he was going with one sock. Even his escape plan couldn't get its life together. 6:45. My phone rang. Felicity. Dad, I'm at Tampa Airport. Where are you? I sat up straight. You're here? Now? I got your email this morning. Listened to the recordings on the flight. I'm coming to your house. Honey, you don't have to... Yes, I do. Is he there? Orville? Yes. Good. Don't let him leave. She hung up. I walked downstairs. Orville had his suitcase by the door. Going somewhere? He jumped. Guilty. Caught. Work emergency. Seattle needs me back. Felicity's on her way here. His face changed. Fear replacing lies. How did she... I sent her everything. This morning. She had a 6-hour flight to listen to you planning my murder. He tried the door. I stepped in front of it. You're 68 years old. You think you can stop me? No, but Silas can. My neighbor appeared from the kitchen. Former homicide detective. Still capable of looking dangerous when needed. Orville set down the suitcase. 7:30. Felicity pulled up. Business suit. Small suitcase. Face set in controlled fury. Another car behind her. Attorney. She walked to the door. Orville stood in the foyer. They faced each other across the threshold. She held up her phone. Pressed play. Orville's recorded voice. I told you. We get him to revise the will. Split everything 50-50 between the daughters. Then we control our halves. When were you going to tell me? Honey, I didn't know you were coming. I can explain... She played more. His voice discussing brake lines, insurance, timing. Listen, that's your voice, right? Talking about killing my father? That's out of context. We were joking around. Guys talk like that. Joking? You discussed brake lines, insurance payouts, timing. That's not joking. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. The debt? What debt? You told me Seattle was going great. It is. I mean, it was. The tech market shifted. I had some investments. How much? It doesn't matter now. We can fix this. We can. She handed him papers. White envelope. Official looking. These are divorce papers. You're also being removed from my father's property. If you contact him again, it's witness intimidation. Felicity, please. I love you. Our daughter. Don't you dare mention our daughter. She'll never know what you are. Ursula appeared from the kitchen. Both daughters. Both in my house. Both divorcing the men they'd married. Orville looked at them. At me. At Silas. Saw he was surrounded. This isn't fair. Ted was the one who... Who what? Felicity's voice cut ice. Who tried first? You want credit for being the smarter murderer? He picked up his suitcase. Walked out. The attorney handed him additional papers on the porch. He took them without reading. Got in his car. Drove away. I watched his taillights disappear. Felt nothing. No satisfaction. No victory. Just tired. That night, both daughters sat on my couch. Both crying. Both marriages destroyed in one day. I sat in my chair, looking older than 68, watching them hurt. Justice had weight, carried a price. Felicity looked up. Thank you for telling me, even though it hurts. Ursula nodded. Better to know than keep living a lie. I poured water with shaking hands. Sometimes the truth is the hardest gift to give. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Police car outside Ted's apartment complex. I watched from my car down the street. Silas beside me. They brought Ted out in handcuffs. Assault charges. Fraud charges. He looked back at the building where Ursula used to live. Face resigned. Broken, he made one call from holding to his 7-year-old son from a previous relationship. I found out later from Harold, who found out from Ted's ex. Daddy made bad choices. Really bad choices. You know how I always tell you to tell the truth? I didn't do that. I lied to people I loved, and now I'm paying for it. When you grow up, be better than me. Be honest, even when it's hard. His son asked if he was coming to his birthday. Ted cried, I don't think so, buddy. But I love you. Human, terrible, broken, but human. Saturday afternoon, 3:47. The house quiet. Orville staying at an airport hotel until Monday's flight. Ursula asleep in her old room. Felicity reviewing legal documents at the dining table. I sat in my garage workshop, surrounded by vintage stenography machines and dictation recorders. Picked up the small device from the Publix parking lot. Turned it on. My own voice from 2 weeks ago. Tuesday, March 18th, 3:51 p.m. Subject, Thaddeus Fox. Incident, assault with attempt. I stopped the recording, looked at the collection, each one labeled with dates. 40 years of proceedings. Every conversation recorded. Every word documented. This wasn't a hobby. It was a compulsion. Had I been preparing for this my whole life? My phone rang. Unknown number. Tampa area code. Mr. Harris? Victor Torres? Ted told me to call you about Sunday's payment. Said you're handling it now. I looked at the recorder in my hand. Pressed record, out of habit. Mr. Torres, let's talk about what Ted really owes and who's really going to pay. Silence. 3 seconds. Then, I'm listening. I realized this wasn't over yet. There was one more player in the game. Monday morning, May 12th. Hillsborough County Courthouse, 9 a.m. The courtroom had that smell. Old wood, floor polish. Something institutional that makes your throat tight. Courtroom 4B. I'd sat in hundreds like it over 35 years, always on the other side, recording other people's dramas. Now I sat at the prosecutor's table. My drama. My family. Ted came in wearing county jail orange, hands cuffed, thinner than I remembered. He looked at me once, looked away, sat next to his public defender, a tired woman with a stack of folders that probably included 20 other cases. The gallery filled. Ursula sat 3 rows back. Felicity beside her. First time they'd sat together in years. Silas near the door. Thelma in the back corner taking notes. Ted's mother in the front row, crying quietly. His 7-year-old son beside her, confused. News cameras outside. Reporters lining the hallway. Local scandal. Attempted murder for inheritance. The stuff that makes headlines. The prosecutor opened with video evidence. Dashcam footage on the courtroom screen. Crystal clear. Ted's hand connecting with my chest. The push. Me rolling away from that Camry, 20 feet wide on that screen. The courtroom gasped, actual gasps, like a Greek chorus. Ted's head dropped, wouldn't watch his own actions played back. I testified at 10:30, described the parking lot, the smell of whiskey, 6 money requests over the year, the eggs hitting pavement, kept my voice steady, stenographer precision, just facts. What did you think in that moment? The prosecutor asked. I thought I was going to die. Ted's lawyer objected. Overruled. I continued. When I looked up, he was laughing. Harold Pierce testified next. Brought the signature analysis. Ted's handwriting on loan applications beside Ursula's DMV signature. Clear forgery. $68,000 in her name she'd never known about. Then Victor Torres. He walked in wearing a business suit. Cleaned up for court. Made eye contact with Ted. Ted looked at his hands. How did you know the defendant? Sports betting. He owed me $95,000. The prosecutor walked him through it. Ted's desperation. The conversations about handling the old man problem. The explicit question about knowing people who could make an old man disappear. What did you tell him? I told him I run a book, not a murder-for-hire service, Ted's lawyer tried. Cross-examination about immunity deals, motivation to exaggerate. Torres didn't flinch. I'm getting immunity for illegal gambling, not perjury. I got no reason to lie. Your client asked me if I knew anyone who could make an old man disappear. I'm quoting him. Murmur through the courtroom. Judge's gavel. 1:30. Orville testified via video link. Split screen showed him in a Seattle lawyer's office. Gaunt. Wouldn't make eye contact with the camera. Kept drinking water like his mouth was full of sand. He confirmed the planning discussions. Tried to minimize his role. Guy talk, he called it. Hypothetical. The prosecutor played Orville's recorded voice from my hidden camera. Not hypothetical. Specific. Detailed. Discussing brake lines and insurance payouts and timing. You flew to Tampa, stayed in Mr. Harris's home while planning his death. That's not hypothetical. Orville deflated on screen. I want immunity too. You're cooperating because you're facing conspiracy charges if you don't. Ted's lawyer called his ex-wife as character witness. Mistake. She said Ted was always good at finding new sources when he had money problems. The jury's faces said everything. Deliberation lasted 4 hours. I sat in the courthouse cafeteria with Silas. Drank 3 cups of coffee. Tasted like cardboard. 3:47. The clerk called us back. Ted stood for the verdict. Swayed slightly. The bailiff moved closer. Guilty of assault. Guilty of attempted vehicular manslaughter. Guilty of fraud. Ted's knees buckled. He caught himself on the table. Sentencing was immediate. 18 months. 50,000 restitution. 5 years probation. Restraining order. Judge's voice echoed in the silent room. Ted nodded mechanically at each term. Somewhere behind his eyes he'd already left. Outside, news cameras surrounded me. Microphones like weapons. Mr. Harris, how do you feel? Relieved that truth came out. Sad that it came to this. I made my statement. Short. Professional. Got in my car. Sat there for 10 minutes. Didn't start the engine. Just sat. Steering wheel under my hands. Wondering why victory felt like this. That evening, my face was on every local channel. Changed channels. Same story. Turned off the TV. The next morning, a woman approached me at Publix. Different Publix. Different parking lot. I'd changed my routine. Mr. Harris, I'm Sadie Mitchell. I work at the 56th Street location. I looked at her. 30-something. Nervous. You sent the letter. About Ursula. I saw what happened that day, in the parking lot. I was coming back from break. I saw him push you. I froze. Why didn't you come forward then? I was scared. He looked at me after you drove away. But then I heard Ursula might be involved, and I couldn't stay quiet. She was my 3rd grade teacher at Coleman Elementary. She taught me to read when I was 8 and struggling. Changed my whole life. My throat tightened. Thank you for protecting her when I couldn't. She was lucky to have you fighting for her. Not everyone has that. I shook her hand. This woman, complete stranger, risked herself for my daughter because 26 years ago, Ursula taught her to read. Maybe humanity still existed after all. Wednesday afternoon, news broke. Orville fired from his Seattle tech company. Ethics violation. Can't employ someone involved in attempted murder conspiracy, even as a witness. Felicity's divorce finalized Thursday. Washington State. She filed the week before trial. Quick and clean. Ursula's divorce protected her from Ted's debts. Florida law, marital debts through fraud aren't community property. Both daughters sitting on my couch Friday evening. Both crying. Both marriages destroyed in 1 week. I sat in my chair, looking at them. My victories. Felt like I'd won a war by burning down my own house. Felicity looked up. Dad, you did what you had to. But it hurts anyway. I know. Thank you for not giving up, even when it cost us everything. I nodded. Couldn't speak. What do you say to that? Later, alone in my garage workshop, I looked at the collection. Vintage stenography machines, dictation recorders, each one labeled with dates. 40 years of other families' betrayals. Picked up the Publix parking lot recorder. March 18th, the day everything changed. Well, boys, I said to the machines, you did it. Made it into evidence, solved the case. Poured myself bourbon, raised the glass. To documentation, to evidence, to the truth, even when it sucks. Drank, set the glass down, turned off the workshop light. My phone buzzed, text from Silas. Your trial made national news. You're trending on Twitter. #JusticeDad. I stared at it, typed back, I'm 68. I don't know what trending means, and I'm too tired to learn. Put the phone down. Sat in the dark. Victory tastes like ashes when you're eating it alone. June 25th, 5 weeks after the trial. Thelma's office. I signed the new will. 3 copies. Hand steady now. 70% to Felicity. 30% to Ursula. Trust funds for all grandchildren. Not equal. Fair. You're sure about this split? Thelma asked. Felicity stayed loyal throughout. Ursula was a victim, but she chose Ted over me until the evidence was overwhelming. I love them both, but loyalty matters. Slid the papers across her desk. Done. Ursula was living with me temporarily. Her old bedroom. Butterfly wallpaper still there. She'd been there 3 months. Rebuilding. Learning to pay her own bills. Check her own bank statements. Stand on her own. We were warmer than before, but different. Some invisible scar tissue between us that would never quite heal. One evening in late June, we sat on the porch. She asked the question I'd been waiting for. Do you forgive me? I took a long breath. There's nothing to forgive. You were a victim too. But I won't pretend it didn't hurt. We're rebuilding. That's enough for now. She nodded, cried a little. We sat in silence while the sun set. July brought a change. I set up my old video camera in the garage workshop. Tripod. Natural light from the window. Nothing fancy. Recorded for 47 minutes. Edited it down to 30. To my grandchildren, when you turn 18, I explained everything. Not as a revenge story, as a lesson about family values, truth, consequences. I'm not telling you this to make your fathers look bad. They did that themselves. I'm telling you so you understand. Family loyalty matters, but it goes both ways. Love isn't manipulation. Trust must be earned and maintained. Paused, collected myself. Your fathers made terrible choices, desperate choices. They valued money over life. But here's what I want you to remember. People aren't just their worst moments. They loved you. They were also capable of planning murder. Both things can be true. Look directly at the camera. Learn from their mistakes. When you're tempted to take shortcuts, lie, manipulate, remember this story. Remember that betrayal destroys everything, not just the victim. The betrayer loses too. Everyone loses. Save the file. 3 copies. 1 for each grandchild when they turned 18. April 26th. Ursula moved into her own apartment. 1 bedroom in Temple Terrace. Small, modest. Hers. I helped carry boxes, moved slower than I used to. Age showing. She noticed but didn't say anything. Dad, I found an apartment. I need to stand on my own. I relied on Ted for everything. That can't happen again. I'm proud of you. For what? Making terrible choices? For learning from them? For choosing yourself? She got a teaching job again. Different school. Fresh start. Seeing a therapist twice a week. Slowly learning to trust again. Felicity visited monthly from Seattle. Took a sabbatical. Stayed weekends. The sisters were closer now than they'd been in a decade. Bonded through shared trauma of husbands' betrayals. July 14th. The letter arrived. Return address, Falkenberg Road, jail. I held it over the kitchen trash can, stood there for a full minute, dropped it in unopened. Ted had been released 2 days earlier. 14 months with good behavior. He'd tried calling. 3 times. I didn't answer. Let it go to voicemail. His message. Osman, it's Ted. I'm out. I know you don't want to hear from me. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I was desperate. I made choices I'll regret forever. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just saying, I'm sorry. Ursula got 3 calls too. She didn't answer either. Should we respond? She asked. No. He's sorry because he got caught and lost everything, not because he understands what he did. If he understood, he wouldn't be calling. He'd be leaving us alone. So we just ignore him? We do exactly that. Silence is its own answer. We never responded. Ted moved in with his elderly mother in Clearwater. Got a job at Jiffy Lube. $15 an hour. The $50,000 restitution was being garnished from his wages. Would take him years. His ex-wife allowed supervised visitation with his son. Twice a month. 2 hours. The kid didn't understand what had happened. Probably better that way. Orville sent letters from Eugene, Oregon, living with his parents, working at Best Buy. Felicity blocked him on everything. His college-age daughter wouldn't speak to him either. He'd lost his entire life. Career, marriage, child, future. Not criminally charged, but destroyed anyway. Sometimes the law doesn't need to punish. Life does it instead. August 16th, Saturday morning, 6:47 a.m. Silas and I sat on the Ballast Point fishing dock. 2 lines in still water. Thermos of coffee between us. Dawn breaking over Tampa Bay. We'd been doing this every Saturday for 40 years. Same dock. Same comfortable silence. My line tugged, reeled in slowly. Small snapper. Threw it back. Too small? Too young. Let it grow. Long silence. Sun climbed higher. Coffee was good, strong, hot. So was it worth it? Silas asked. You ask that every time we fish. You never answer. I watched the pelicans dive for breakfast. Joggers on Bayshore Boulevard behind us. Normal Tampa morning. I saved one daughter from a marriage built on lies. I saved another from a conspiracy she didn't know existed. I'm alive. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. I lost the family I thought I had. But I saved the family that was actually real. Deep. Don't mock. I'm old. I'm allowed to be philosophical. You're 68. That's not old. It is when you've been pushed in front of a car. More silence. The good kind. The kind that comes from 60 years of friendship. Would you do it again? I cast my line. Watched it arc over the water. Land with barely a splash. Yes. But I'd give anything for it to not have been necessary. That's the answer I was looking for. We fished as the sun rose. Didn't talk more. Didn't need to. My phone buzzed. Text from Ursula. Brunch at my place tomorrow? Felicity's flying in? I typed back, I'll bring pie. Set the phone down. Picked up my rod. The bay stretched to the horizon. I didn't look back at shore. At the city where it all happened. At my house 3 miles away, where evidence files still sat in the garage. Looked forward. At water. At sky. At whatever came next. December brought 2 cards. First one. Eugene, Oregon. Return address, said Eleanor Parker. Not from Orville. From his mother. Mr. Harris, I don't expect you to read this. My son made terrible choices. I'm ashamed. But I wanted you to know. He's in therapy. Working retail, trying to be better. Not asking forgiveness. Just wanted you to know he's trying. Eleanor Parker. I read it twice. Didn't respond. Didn't throw it away either. Put it in a drawer. Maybe people can change. Maybe they just learn to hide better. I'd never know. Wasn't my job anymore. Second card came same day. Sadie Mitchell, the Publix cashier. Simple message. Thank you for protecting Mrs. Fox. She changed my life when I was 8. Glad I could help change hers. Inside, photo of Sadie's daughter, age 7, wearing Coleman Elementary School shirt. Same school where Ursula taught. Cycle of kindness continuing. Ripple effects of good teaching, good choices, good people. I put Sadie's card on the refrigerator. Proof that not everyone is terrible. Small mercy in the rubble. Christmas was quiet. Just me, Ursula, Felicity, Silas. Set table for 4 instead of the usual 8. Ursula started crying mid-dinner. I'm sorry, it's just so quiet. Felicity helped with dishes after. We'll get through this. I thought but didn't say. Get through, yes. Get over, never. January brought routine. Swimming at the YMCA, different time now, different day. Fishing with Silas every Saturday. Morning coffee on his porch. Ursula visiting Sundays for dinner. Slow, quiet, different than before, but honest. After everything, honesty was all that was left. One evening in my garage, I spoke to my collection of recorders and stenography machines. 40 years recording other people's dramas. Never thought I'd be starring in one. Picked up the Publix parking lot recorder, held it. You boys earned your place in history. Put it back on the shelf. Turned off the light. Life kept moving forward. Pelicans kept diving. Sun kept rising. That had to be enough. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.